Hi, it's Colin Cowherd. I started The Volume to bring you some of the most authentic voices in sports. While you're here, make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks. Fake questions, real answers. Stuff I want to talk about, but don't want to wait for you to ask me the question. Dear Colin, NFL ratings keep going up. NBA ratings keep plummeting. What does this tell you? Well, 45 million people watch the Niners and the Cowboys. Michael Mulvihill great Twitter follow, works at Fox. He tracks this sort of stuff. Viewership for the wild card round increased by 5.3 million viewers over last year. That means the increase alone is more than what ABC, CBS, NBC averaged in all their prime time this year in 2021. You know, part of it is the NFL is no longer talking about politics. I read radio TV critics all the time. They do not have the same access I do to data about what my viewers want. At both ESPN and Fox, we had data that said it turned off a lot of viewers when you combined sports and politics. NFL last year, they've gotten out of the political business. Ratings are up. Look at the Grammys and Oscars. Everybody just applauds the courage of the actors for talking about politics. And only 10 million people watched the last Oscars. Only 9 million last year watched the Grammys. The NBA Finals averaged only 9 million viewers a game. Folks, the research is in. I've worked at networks. People don't want their person who pretends to be a lawyer talking politics at the Oscars. Just act. We have political pundits. We have politicians. There's enough of it on Twitter, social media. Don't listen to your media critics. When they talk about the courage of sportscasters, the courage of actors, the audience doesn't want you mixing politics incessantly with their movies and with their sports. Nobody wants my politics, and nobody wants Rachel Maddow's football picks. Just the way it is. Dear Colin, what did you make of Mike McCarthy's press conference where he said, and I quote, "I know how to win"? Well, the thing about resumes in the NFL is you have to be very careful. He does have a Super Bowl win and 7 division titles, and he's won more games percentage-wise, 61%, than Bill Parcells. But sometimes I think we forget how bad McCarthy was at the end in Green Bay. Do you remember 2018, McCarthy's final year with the Packers? Aaron Rodgers led the NFL in a fascinating stat, throwaways. It's a stat that tracks when an offensive player, a quarterback, just throws the ball away because he has no good options. So Aaron's one of the most nimble quarterbacks athletically. He's got one of the best arms. He rarely gets into a desperate place. Yet in 2018, Aaron had 47 throwaways. That is still the most throwaways in a season since they started keeping track of the stat. It was an indication of how little respect Aaron Rodgers had for Mike McCarthy. He was literally saying, Mike McCarthy just gave me a play that is so poor, I'm not even going to attempt a pass. Think about that. That stat, we forget because Aaron's been so good and so effortless for the last 3 years with Matt LaFleur. We forget how ugly it got in his last year with the coach. Dear Colin, we know you're America's #1 USC insider. What's the latest on Oklahoma quarterback Caleb Williams? Well, maybe I'm not #1, but certainly a very close #2. I have been told by someone that is in a close relationship with Caleb Williams and his father that USC leads and is likely to land him, and it's quite possible USC will get news within the next 72 hours. Now, USC just landed a transfer running back from Stanford. Here's a little insight. They're going to land another transfer running back in the next few days. How's that for scoops? Dear Colin, what does Russell Westbrook of the Lakers getting benched tell you about the NBA? Well, the NBA has always been a players' league, and it's always been star-driven. And it's one of the strengths of the NBA and can be one of its weaknesses. When the star is likable and dominating, like LeBron in his prime or Michael Jordan or Shaq and Kobe, the ratings are strong. After Jordan left, the league didn't really have an embraceable next star, and the ratings dropped 50%. Do you remember that? I think the problem with a star-driven league, and the NFL is not, though it has stars, the problem with a star-driven league is you often become star-obsessed and talent-obsessed, and things like chemistry and coaching become less significant. Have you ever noticed how many bad contracts there are in the NBA? How many teams chase either over-the-hill wash talent or talent that really is indifferent about the sport? The Ben Simmons contract, awful. John Wall contract, awful. Westbrook contract, awful. Kevin Love contract, awful. Name one terrible NFL contract. One. I can't. I mean, Kirk Cousins makes more than many of you would want to pay him, but what were the Vikings going to do at quarterback? He makes in the 20 millions. There's now quarterbacks like Dak making in the 40 millions. At this point, Kirk Cousins, if not a value player, is certainly worth his money. The NFL has a much easier time moving off stars. I'll give you an example. Cam Newton. Cam Newton's a declining star. He gets one offer from New England. It's not a very good one. After a year, they bail on him. He gets a cup of coffee with Carolina, and it's mostly over. Tim Tebow won 7 straight games in a playoff game. Denver replaced him with Peyton Manning. He got one more shot with the Jets. They couldn't figure out a way to play him. It was mostly over. In the NBA, Frank Vogel of the Lakers, the coach, had to get permission to bench Russell Westbrook. Permission. It just doesn't work that way in the NFL. Dear Colin, do you see there's more Twitter uproar about a Jeopardy champion crushing the competition and making the game, quote, unwatchable? Yeah, actually, it's very watchable. Jeopardy is currently the highest rated non-sports program on television because Amy Schneider is crushing people. I don't know who has convinced people that we love the underdog. No, we don't. We like the favorites. We don't love the underdog. The PGA had its greatest viewership when Tiger Woods was kicking everybody's butt. The Warriors' NBA dynasty, the last time the league was highly rated. Mike Tyson fights. His pay-per-views in his prime were record-setting. And Jeopardy, whenever they have a Ken Jennings, whenever they have an Amy Schneider, the ratings go up. America is not a country that hates billionaires. We're fascinated by them. It's why we watch documentaries about Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs. Jeopardy, like other sports, is totally fair. The winner should be the best person. You cannot legislate parity. People are not interested in it. And we are fascinated by geniuses and those who often pull away from us.